When making thinning decisions, landowners and managers retain the best trees available, and the definition of best trees varies depending on objectives and needs. Thinning can start relatively early in a stand's development, once the individual crowns have begun to define their competitive position. Even in relatively young stands, the crown definition is obvious. Use care in early thinning operations, as heavy cutting can encourage short, stocky trees. Foresters measure standing tree diameters at 4.5 feet above the ground, which is about breast height on the average person. This diameter measurement is called diameter breast height, or DBH. When the average stand diameter approaches 14 inches, a well-stocked hardwood stand will have between 80 and 100 trees per acre that have dominant and codominant crown positions. When weeding or thinning in younger stands with an average diameter of 5 to 8 inches, it might be useful to find a desirable tree on a 20 by 20 foot spacing. As the stand ages, this will yield about 100 trees per acre. This approach focuses thinning and weeding decisions onto fewer trees. Remember, don't cut too many trees, as competition forces trees to grow taller. In the thinning decisions, look to provide growing space on only one or two sides. This point links back to the earlier comment on abraded crowns. Thinning in young stands is much easier than in older ones. In younger stands, while you may have released around 100 or so stems per acre, there will likely be more trees left. In later silvicultural treatments, these trees may provide options for retaining ags. As the stand of timber matures, the number of choices for tree retention declines, as does the number of tree stems. In this case, each decision that results in cutting a tree reduces future options, so it is important to carefully consider each of the trees retained. Additionally, as stands mature, competition between and among tree crowns becomes more obvious. There are clear winners and losers as individual trees strive to increase their access to light. Shade-intolerant trees, once overtopped, seldom have the capacity to recover and capture growing space, even if they are intentionally released. The suppressed black cherry tree entering from the lower left of this image has very little live crown. In this example, a more shade-tolerant species, such as sugar maple, already overtopped, would have a much better chance of responding to a thinning harvest. This image shows an even-age stand. Although the tree diameters vary, all the trees started growing at the same time. Repeated thinnings leave well-spaced, high-quality trees to remain for some time into the future. Eventually, it will be necessary to establish the next forest by creating conditions that will foster the growth and establishment of natural regeneration. In order to make thinning decisions that will have a positive impact on a timber stand, landowners must have a set of objectives for each stand. Suggested cutting or thinning decisions should focus on removing competing trees. Consider the species of the tree, its crown position, its stem and tree quality, and its overall condition as you make thinning and cutting decisions.